Hey guys, a little while ago I made a video about hand coordination, and I've heard so many great comments from you about how it's helped you that I decided to follow it up with a video about speeding up a passage from slow to fast. This is for passages of running notes of the same value, and you can use them for slurred passages, but today I'll be showing you how to do this with separate notes. So just imagine you have a passage of straight 16th notes that you want to be able to play faster. These exercises are going to help you. So the technique that I'm going to show you is commonly referred to as the dotted rhythm technique, and it involves changing the rhythm of the passage to a dotted one. And there are two sets of rhythms that I use, and there's a third set as well that works if you're doing like triplets, and I'll show that to you at the end. So there are two sets of rhythms that I use. The first one is possibly going to be enough, and definitely just start with that one. And then if you feel like you need more, you can add the second one. So say I have a C major scale that is just all running 16th notes. I want to make it faster. Well, you can just take your metronome and go from slow to fast, right? You start your metronome at like 60, play it at 60, go to 63, 66, 69, etc., 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 and you just try and make it a little bit faster every time. That's a really great strategy, and I definitely recommend you do that. But before you do that, you're going to try the rhythm work first, because I think that kind of creates a little bit of a shortcut for your success. And it works on the coordination as well, so that's an added bonus. Now, you might remember from the coordination exercise that the most important thing was to prepare the next note right away. So I even had a metronome going so that you prepared it in between the two notes. And this is going to be the same here. So when we do a dotted rhythm, we're creating an uneven rhythm, right? So one note is going to be considerably longer. Now, I don't actually lengthen the note unless I'm doing slurs. When I play slurred, then the note becomes long. When I'm playing separate bows, I make that note really short, and then I put a stop after it. And I'm going to show this to you all in a second. But what needs to happen is that you are going to prepare the next note right away. So you're not going to wait until it's time to do that next note. We're going to prepare as soon as we can. So I'm going to turn my running 16th notes into a dotted rhythm. It's going to look like this. Now in my mind, the emphasis is on the first note. So bum, ba bum, ba bum, ba bum. First of the two, always. And I'm, for now, just thinking in groups of two, right? Because it's a two-note pattern. Long, short, long, short, long. Now, as I said before, I'm not actually playing, because when I do that, what happens is I gradually move higher in the bow, and I really don't want that to happen. I want to stay precisely in the same part of the bow where I'll play the passage. So both notes are short. It's just easier to think of it as a dotted rhythm. So let's say it's a dotted 16th note followed by a 32nd, but the dotted 16th note is staccato. Place that second note, watch what happens. I play C, go. So I place right away. Place, place. If I don't place right away, I'm missing out on practicing quickly going between those two notes. Now the extra time is there to actually give me a little bit more time to prepare, right? And we're going to have to even that out, right? Because now you've put all of these gaps, and now all of a sudden it's really easy to play every second note. But how do we reverse that? So we're going to start with the short note. So it's going to be short, long, short, long, short, long. But again, the long note isn't actually long. It's just going to be a staccato. So it sounds like this now. I'm still preparing right away. So from the point of view of the left hand, it's almost like trying to play three notes in a row, right? Go, go. Like the quicker I can can get the left hand down, the easier it's going to be later to put everything together. Now, this rhythm sometimes throws people off because your brain wants to think of the long note as being on the beat, and so then you kind of start to treat this as a pickup, pa-pum, pa-pum, pa-pum. That's not it. So we're actually still on the beat. Taka, 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 taka. I almost just prefer to think of this as 2 30 seconds in a row. Ta-ta, 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 rest, ta-ta, rest, ta-ta, rest. So they're just 2 short notes, and the emphasis is on the first of the 2. It is not on the second. That's going to get you really confused. Now, you can do this with a metronome, but the tempo at which you're going to do it is going to be very individual. So what I'm playing now is probably like 140-ish, but at the beginning you might start significantly slower. It's one thing to keep in mind is that your working tempo for the passage is not going to be the working tempo for this. Once you do the dotted rhythm, you're going to have to find a tempo on the metronome that works for that exercise, because it's not going to be the same tempo as what you're able to play, or even the desired tempo. They're both going to feel off. So try with the metronome if that helps you. I'm also okay with this exercise just being kind of freestyle, but do be very diligent about making the notes really short and as close together as you can. So I'm calling them dotted 16th notes with 30 seconds. You can think of them as double dotted, it doesn't matter. They just need to be as rapid as possible. So the 2 notes that are played back to back in both rhythms need to be as close one to the other as you can make them. Okay, that's where we kind of get all the benefit. And we want to stay really strict, like in a rhythm. So if you're having trouble keeping yourself from like rushing or slowing down, then the metronome might help. Just again, it might take you some time to zero in on the tempo that works for you. So you see, we practiced kind of playing every other note connected, right? So I'm going to show you. So when I do the first one, I get to go really fast from D to E, then from F to G, from A to B, and so forth. And then when I flip it, it's the opposite. So I get to put C and D together really fast, then E and F. So I've practiced like the overlaps, and when I go back to my usual, just regular 16th notes, it's going to be a lot easier to play all of them fast. So the fingers are just a little bit more coordinated. Everything's a little bit better connected to the brain as well. Okay, so that's one. Now, if you want to go deeper, right, especially if your passage is 16th notes, with 8th notes, this kind of depends on the time signature, but if you're dealing with groups of 4, then there's a way to create rhythms out of the group of 4 where we actually have a 4-note rhythm instead of a 2-note rhythm. And the idea is the same. So I'm going to play just the first note really short, and then I'm going to play the next 3 as a pickup to the 5th. So it's quote unquote long, and then short, 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 long, short, 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 long. So I'm lengthening the first note, and I'm saying lengthening, but really I'm just separating it away from the others. I'm putting a space after it. Put a space after the first note, then I play the next 3 as fast as I can, and actually the next 4, because I want to get to the next set of notes. So here I go. This one's going to be tricky because you have to go up the scale and down the scale in one set. The emphasis is on the first of the group, okay? The next one is going to be putting that space after the second note of the group. And the emphasis is going to stay on the first note. So I have groups of 4, my emphasis, my beat is always on the first note, but now I have a space after the second note. The other way you can think of it is, again, just playing it longer, but don't use more bow because you're going to mess your bow distribution up. So 2 short notes with a gap, and then I play the next 4, the next 4. My emphasis is always here, 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 so forth. So it's always on the beat. It's as written, right? So wherever your beats fall in your 16th notes, that's where your emphasis is. It's not on the note being lengthened / separated out from the rest. you might be able to guess what comes next. We're going to put that space after the third note now. So you're going to play 3 notes and pause, and now I'm going to play the next 4. Okay, so I'm always thinking of the emphasis as being on the beat, regardless. And this is, you can think of 1, 2, 3, right? Yakatam. And you can make that gap longer if you need, especially in this exercise, when you're doing the groups of 4, like the 4-note rhythms. You can make those gaps longer if you need more time for your brain to sort of process what comes next. What's important is that, again, the notes that you do play, when you play them, are played as fast as possible together. Now, if it's sloppy and uncoordinated, then it's too fast, so you slow it down a little bit. And then the last one's kind of neat, because when you think of it as lengthening the last note, or when you focus on the last note, it can be kind of tricky. But if you just think of it as a group of 4 that you're going to put a space after, it's the easiest one. So you can think of that as, oh, I played 3 short notes and then the last note I made longer, but because I'm making it staccato, right, it's just a space after it. So now I've done all 4 possible variations with this rhythm, right? And then I can go ahead and do it without the variations, just play it straight through. And even right now, it's like, oh, this feels easier. Like I've done the practice, I've flipped it on its head a few times, and now it's like, oh yeah, this is actually a lot easier to coordinate. Okay, now for triplets, because you can't use that second one that I showed you for triplets. It's not going to work. You only have 3 notes. Say you still have C major and it's a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's weird. We need like one more note at the end. It's not a full triplet, but it's a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I am going to use the same principle, but I only have 3 notes to work with, right? So it's going to be 1, the trick with this one, or the trickiness with this one, is that now every other beat is a bow. The previous one is a lot easier to do because you're always emphasizing down bows, and now I have strong beat on 1, and then up, down, up. And I do recommend that you really make a point of emphasizing them and feeling that, oh, you're doing a little bit something extra with the bow on those notes, and then you shift your space to the second note, same way. Again, the emphasis stays on 1. Taka, taka, taka. Oh, I went back to 4s. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And the reason I knew right away I went to 4s in that one was like, oh, this feels like it's all down bows. That's not right. So if you start to feel like, oh, this is nice and easy, it's all on down bows, you're not doing triplet. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So forth. Your bow's going to flip. And then the last one is the same thing. It's just groups of 3, and then we take a little break. But put the emphasis on the first note. And then you can play the whole thing. All right, so let me know if that was helpful. There are more tricks. I think I'm going to do a part 3. I will see you guys next time.